Welcome to In the Loop Podcast, a podcast that is inspired by the breakaway roping lifestyle. I'm your host, Jordan Joe, professional rodeo athlete, NFBR qualifier.
Welcome to In the Loop Podcast. I am your host, Jordan Joe Hollibaugh, and I love all things breakaway roping. Welcome back to our third annual 15 Days of Breakaway Roping series. In this series, we talk all things breakaway roping for 15 straight days, y'all. We interview the top 15 in the world that are making the national finals of rodeo. We start from number 15 and we go all the way to number 1. We talk all things breakaway roping, rodeo strategy, horses, ropes, you name it, we talk about it. And one thing I love about this year is these girls have evolved. It's raw, it's real, it's uncut, and we are just so thankful to be able to do this. I want to give a huge shout out to all of our partners who make this happen, and to every one of you who is listening. Thank you for listening. If these episodes make a difference, please go and share it with your friends. Help us grow.
Guys, so today
we're able to be here because of our listeners, because of our fans and supporters. And again, I just want you to know, thank you so much. I love doing this. I love podcasting. And I can't hold back any longer. So let's roll right into it. 15 Days of Breakaway, third annual. Here we go. Let's talk some breakaway roping.
Thanks for coming to the show today.
Thanks for having me, Jordan.
We were just talking, Erin is one of the 3 ladies that has been to all 4 NFR rodeos in the breakaway roping.
Okay, guys, so today we are here with number 9, Cheyanne McCartney, otherwise known as
so many
Guillory.
people would
just had a recent name change. So she is coming into her third consecutive NFBR. You got all the way from $85,703.97 rodeos. Cheyanne, congratulations on your third consecutive qualification. You worked hard for number 15
this year.
Talk a little bit about
Thank you so much, Jordan. Thanks for having me on.
Clinching your 4th consecutive back number this year. We were just sitting here talking about how blue is the best color, which Cheyanne loves blue, and her nails will be painted blue in Vegas because
this is the second year in a row that I made the short round of the finals at
Cheyanne, you had a great
rodeos.
year this year. You started off with a bang. We were just talking about that on your Pro Fantasy write-up. You started off winning $25,000 at Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, claiming that buckle and all the things that go with it. How did it feel to start your year off so strong after coming off your finals in 22? So you had $25,000 finals. I mean, you were hitting, you were hot. Talk about what it was like coming off that finals and then kicking the next year off with a bang in Fort Worth.
So
it's always nice to start out on a good
terrible.
note.
I didn't have
but then again, even though I started out on that good note, I knew that I was still going to have to do a lot of winning throughout the year to make another national finals because it is so tough. But it definitely takes a little pressure off starting out, winning some money, and just knowing that you have knocked out some of what you're going to have to win. But for me, I always
needed him at
focused on
Springs
the next thing.
The logistics of getting him from Salt Lake to Colorado Springs,
and lights a fire under you because you still need to win more.
Just wasn't going to work out. So
and I think that's one thing we've seen consistently is everybody in the top 15 had one big hit this year, and you had several of them. But it's almost like anymore you've got to have that one place that you get a huge chunk of money at, and then you consistently chipped away all year long too. Had a great year. One of the stats, we're kind of looking at some more stats this year, and something I think is really cool is, last year, like I said, you had a great finals. You left there winning $25,000 at the finals, which is
one of those things.
With the payout right now that you guys are roping at is an amazing feat. But then you left there with $83,700 in your pocket last year. After the finals, and this year you're starting into the finals with $85,000. So, isn't it cool just to see that the money is growing? These rodeos and these committees are stepping up and stepping out to give us more chances at roping at this kind of money and going into the finals with a better advantage than you left last year.
I was still struggling, but I was getting.
It really is. I even look at the year before when the breakaway finals was at the Orleans, and I had a pretty similar finals.
Just a shot.
I placed in a lot of rounds. I won 2 rounds, and I think I maybe won 4th in average, and I won about 16,000. So. Even looking to last year's finals compared to that year before, it's growing and getting better. Obviously, it's not where we want it to be, but it is good to see growth and that you can win more money than you could the year before.
Then back to Pendleton.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool. And like you said, it's not where we want it to be yet, but it's definitely taking leaps and bounds and strides. And Raymond reminds me of that all the time. He's like, y'all, this is happening way faster than it's ever happened for any other event. And I'm like, well, we still don't have patience. So I'm not sure what you're talking about.
mental support.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's every year we have something. I feel we have something more to look forward to as far as more rodeos, better payout, and all those things.
It was
so I know that
all the way
always
till literally
excited to
the
see
last
that growth.
So a little bit more about your year. I mean, you were just so stinking fat. One of your favorite runs at short round at Fort Worth was amazing. You know, it was a jam-packed short round anyway, like they all are.
When I roped my
and you come out and you had to be fast, and you were 1.9. I mean, just smoked him on a little sorrel horse you call Hawk. You rode a different horse most of this year too, called Gus, that I think just took you to the pay window consecutively over and over again as well. So talk a little bit about your horsepower. I think those horses are pretty different in their strengths, but I think that you excel on both of them exceedingly in all these different setups. So talk about what that looked like this year and how you thought that attributed to getting your third consecutive back number.
There was one other 2-3.
Yeah, so I got Gus last year around this time, and honestly just kind of bought him as a backup horse, and I rode him at all the jackpots that are going on right now. You know, just weekly night jackpots and some big jackpots.
And she's like, "Aaron, I have you making it by $73."
I just won a lot on him, and I just have a lot of confidence on him. And I actually wasn't planning on riding him last year at the finals, and I was just planning to take him as a backup horse, and I just did well on him.
Sent me a screenshot of it, which
it's kind of hard not to ride him, and so I did ride him, and was fortunate to do well on him there.
And I hadn't seen it come up.
You know, the breakaway is so tough because there's some situations where you just have to be stupid fast. There was no how it looks,
and so I texted her and I asked her, and I had
sometimes just goes out of the window, and then there's other setups where if you catch them all,
sure there wasn't another 2-3 in the performance tonight?
I have two different style horses.
I'm sure there wasn't,
one
because
I feel like I can be fast on him, and the other one, you know, I mean, it's probably not as easy for me to be 1/6 on him, but I can change headgear.
So I guess I kind of got my hopes up.
And he just kind of does the same thing every time. But Gus has let me get my rope on a lot of calves this year, and just been really consistent for me. He doesn't do anything flashy. He just kind of does the same thing every time. Whereas Hawk makes things happen a little bit faster.
They were all walk-up rodeos, and you're just hoping that none of those
they both just have their strengths like all horses do, but I think it's good.
You know, on the
it's hard to ride two that are a little bit different, but in some situations it is really beneficial to have two that when they audited it
and they posted the results of
and I want to talk a little bit more about, you said, you have different strategies on different horses,
right.
and I think just like what you said, you know thoroughly
I never made
your horses, what adjustments to make them do certain things. And I think that's something that we've just seen so many girls step up and learn throughout these last few years, that it's just little bitty things make a huge difference in knowing
until the final audit was over,
knowing your equipment.
I really just
talk a little bit about that strategy and the consistency. You're one of the most consistent ropers.
I mean, people would say congratulations,
that's out there today amongst all breakaway ropers. You have a very consistent.
I didn't know. I just didn't know
whether it's fast or an average or whatever. It's
what they would find if they did audit something.
Talk a little bit about some of the things you've used to develop that consistency and those strategies, whether it's a fast setup,
a stressful,
or an average setup, and kind of making those decisions.
Really, and
I've always and I just in the practice pen, my dad and Cody both harp on me just to make good runs. I don't throw super fast a lot in the practice pen. I just really focus on making sure my horses
fighting for it with
how I want them in the box,
that I really like. I really like Sam, and I just one of our hearts was going to be
everything's
broken.
in a good position, and I just really work on trying to be correct in my riding,
so
and I have a lot of power in my swing, and everything.
I kept telling myself I don't ever want to be in this position.
I can be three flat in the practice pen 5 times in a row.
How many girls would
I get more confidence from doing that and making good runs than I would
just have it,
being 1-9 10 times in the practice pen and getting my horses either tight or not running or staying in place the best they can. So that's kind of what I do. Just really, no matter where I'm going, I just try to make good runs and making sure everything is sharp. Because
I think after
for me, throwing my rope is never the issue. It's getting everything in place and knowing that when I go somewhere and have to throw fast, that my horse is going to be catching up to the calf and keeping everything in position.
Getting pretty thin.
Well, and I think that you just hit the nail on the head there, and that's one of the things
making that goal almost
your positioning on your horses is
shot me in the foot. I don't know.
And I think that's so cool to see, and especially
saying that
in all the different setups, like I said, we go to and we see.
I should have made the goal.
You're asking them for their life every time, and so it's a huge tribute and a congratulations to you.
I'm really glad
that you can pull that off on any one of your horses that you get on. But I want to talk a little bit about your newlywed husband, Cody McCartney. He's been a huge,
I don't know why
huge asset to you, and
I feel like
obviously great shoe help. Let's just face it. But
and I owe
talk
it to my
a little
family.
bit about you and Cody. I think that there's a very
because I had already made so many
blind side of Cheyanne that nobody gets to see because you are all business all the time, but you're a huge amount of fun if anybody ever gets to have it with you.
Threw my hands up.
And so talk a little bit about Cody and y'all getting married. You finished out your season. You had a pretty cool wedding going on and really cool experience. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, this year has really just kind of been a whirlwind.
I think that
Cody actually had hip surgery this past April.
It doesn't seem this way at all, right?
Halfway through April, he had hip surgery. I was actually had just roped at Oakdale, California, and they called and said he can have the surgery next Thursday, or he can have it in 4 months. So I left my horse with my traveling partners, and we flew to Nashville, and he had hip surgery. And we also this year we built a place here in Kingston, Oklahoma,
I think that it's
north of Whitesboro
position, and
it's just been a lot of things happening this year.
And you're grateful.
This past month, we went and got married in the Dominican Republic, and planning a wedding while trying to rodeo. I don't advise trying to do that. I actually had a really good experience doing it because we decided to do a destination wedding just because
unless you're in the middle of it.
We never take a break. That was actually my first vacation, and I just said we both said we want it to be something fun. That if our friends come, they get to have a break and just have a vacation with us. And Cody's mom, my mother-in-law Betty, actually did most of the wedding planning. She did so much of it that when they made our welcoming sign, they put Betty and Cody on it because she talked to them a lot more than I did.
I think
she really helped me out just because it's really hard rodeo, and it seemed like every time they were trying to call me, I didn't have service or something. But we had a lot of fun.
They struggled.
This year has been crazy and hectic, but a lot of blessings have come out of it, and I'm super excited for next year now that we have our place built and horses here, and looking forward to it being a good training facility for us.
Kind of in a slump right about that time, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!"
I love that you shared that because not very many people see the behind the scenes, and I love that you were able to do all of that. That's something I think that a lot of people think you just get in the truck and you go to the next one and you do this, but for you and everybody else, everybody's season looks different, but there's so much going on behind the scenes, and so for you to be able to consistently rodeo, to continue to win, to travel, to help your husband with his hip surgery, all those things. Plan this wedding, get your place. It's just
even for me. It's easy for me to look at all the other girls and be like, "Oh man, they have 9,000 or whatever."
I think that one thing we all think is like, "Oh yeah, okay, once we get past this, it's going to calm down." But I really don't think that anything ever calms down.
There's just a lot more.
Probably.
There's girls that
probably one of the
have that one, but they went to 100 or more
rodeos. The day that
that's,
Cody had his surgery was the day the books at Guyman closed.
You can't tell me
I missed the books at Guyman, and Cody was so upset once he kind of woke up from everything.
When they were like,
Josie Murphy and Riley both texted me, and they said,
to weigh on them.
We forgot to tell you that we forgot to enter you at Guyman, we didn't remind you, and I just said, hey, it's no big deal. Cody just saw my phone. He was so upset.
This year you're coming in with 66,000.
But I entered Kansas City,
last year,
Springfield, and Duncan,
third in the world,
and he was devastated that I was taking care of him and missed the books, and I actually
how much more money
splitting
there is out there this year that you guys are getting to run for it, or we're getting to run for all the rodeos,
and second at Springfield, and ended up winning 7,000. So that just goes to show you with rodeo and all the crazy things that are going on. It would have been easy for me to be devastated because I missed the best rodeo that weekend, but just things like that.
And so the
been all summer and all year, just organized chaos and everything's on fire, but it all ended up working out.
We have gone to quite a few more rodeos this year because there have been more opportunities.
I knew that you had
I mean, look at how many girls
and Kansas City and Duncan as your favorite rodeos, but I really didn't tie those two together for this year. And so
there's a lot.
What a surreal experience. You'll never forget Cody's hip surgery.
There's way more money out there for us this year.
How many people can really do that?
And I would say
there was honestly more. I was like nervous for those rodeos because
there's more money won.
Really good at these.
Like, if you go clear down to 40th or whatever,
I missed the books.
Compare that to last year, there's a lot more girls that have a lot more money. There's just been more money to win.
So talk a little bit about your training facility and what Cody does. It is exciting. This year, one of the new rules just got fresh off the HHA World Show. You're really big and involved in that kind of as a family now. So talk a little bit. There was 100 rodeo count.
So
it is a new rule and approved in the WPRA this year.
So
which I think that's going to make a little bit of difference. I don't know how much difference that makes because, like I said, there's only a few that went over 100. So 100 rodeos, if you think about it,
buckle and futurities and just all those incentive things.
I think that
we have room to take some more outside horses now. So
I think that
we have horses everywhere.
It doesn't have any bearing on what is going to happen next year compared to this year. I mean,
there's just a lot of roping that goes on every day.
Bearing
a lot of horses
on what
in and out.
The results are going to be.
We're really excited to have more horses.
I think it's way too
more
many
space to train and have some horses coming up.
We don't have as many opportunities, so we should get to go to more rodeos. I actually look at the opposite. We don't have as many opportunities, so we shouldn't have to go to as many rodeos.
I'm very excited. So congratulations on all those things. And the organized chaos. I mean, what a feat. Third back number getting an organized chaos.
I think it's about 80
So let's talk a little bit about your traveling partners this year. I know that you started out, you had 3, and then you guys kind of did something a little bit different and finished the year out. But you went to 97 rodeos this year.
A good spot
that's one thing that we've kind of been buzzing about and talking about for 2024 is we have 100 rodeo count limit this year. So talk a little bit about your strategy going to the 97 rodeos.
The bottom line
was that
is
planned? What was that like? And
it's not
a little bit of your takeaways from that.
This is
originally,
the Women's Professional Rodeo Association. I
planned on going to all the California rodeos. I only made it to the one because of Cody's surgery.
In my mind,
and then just came
whether
home.
It be right or wrong, and I'm definitely
I really just kind of went to a few that were close by
I think
and kind of just waited for the summer.
Two groups. I think of the young ladies
and stuff like
I
that.
Think of the women.
I didn't really have a specific
women,
plan as to how many rodeos I was going to go to.
Families.
I just tried to enter smart. I tried not to drive 10
that
hours
are more
for
than just rodeo.
$2,000 added rodeo. But
when I was a young woman,
if I could go to several
when I was 25, even when I was
close
almost
by
30,
that I knew were going to pay good or that were good
that
to
was
go
literally
to, that's
what
just
I
kind of
lived
what we
for
did.
and breathed for every single day was to rope.
Talk about a couple of big, and I think they're big
feel like
because
I'm a
it's
woman
obviously
now.
the end of the year, and that's the fresh thing on our minds. But the tour playoffs, Puyallup,
I feel
Sioux
like our
Falls,
association should stand up for the women of the Women's Professional Rodeo Association. And I'm not the only one with this
final
opinion,
part of the year.
and I'm not the only one in this position.
Those rodeos,
I shouldn't have to try to out-rodeo young ladies.
Is that part of your strategy as well, trying to attend those playoff rodeos? I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle moving into anything in the future, and a huge part of who made the finals this year.
It's reasonable for everybody.
I definitely
it's not going to be a disadvantage for the young ladies who rope good enough. They're still going to make it
in the final round to advance. But anytime you have a chance to go to a rodeo like that,
that's just my opinion. And like I said, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody. But the other thing is that
I flew to
if we're looking to get the cream of the crop to the NFBR, if we're looking, if Rodeo Houston wants to get the cream of the crop to their rodeo, when they say we want the top 40 people in the world
rodeos and make those
in each event, they don't want
and I think that's
people that had to out rodeo everybody else to get there.
I think we're seeing more girls do that, and I think that's incredibly challenging to do.
I feel like
for so many reasons. Talk about some of the strategies you have beside and behind doing that.
Set a number.
Are you picking a horse that you feel like is consistent? Are you picking a horse
for everybody?
Somebody's going to be there so you can get on. I mean, how do you go about doing that and looking and coordinating all of that?
The best of the best at
that worked out well for me when I flew to
the elite rodeos, and we're going to get the best of the best at the NFBR.
Actually bought a horse that we had that I was able to rope on a few times that just was really easy, and they drove her up to the rodeo for me. But
I choose to go 60,
I always
and that's what worked into my year,
the one that I
then
think
I'm good
is
with
just
that.
solid and
but
easy
100
and
rodeos
does the same thing every
insane.
time. And
I just can't.
it's just kind
those
of
girls that went to 100 rodeos,
there's not much
I
thinking
guess
that
my
can
hat's
go
off
into
to
it,
them,
in my opinion.
I
you
don't
just
have
have
it
to
in
get
me. I
on,
went to
and
80 and wanted to
it's just kind
jump
of
off a
muscle
cliff.
memory. See your start.
It was
and
hard.
Don't worry about the horse.
Well, I'm glad you didn't jump. Good job.
No,
As many of you know, infrared light therapy, otherwise known as laser therapy, has completely changed my personal performance as well as my horse's performance. I use Revitavit,
I think that
developed by
thing
science
here
and backed
is
by the top trainers
we
and
have-
world-class
there's
riders.
several ladies,
Revitavit
young
is
women,
simply the best.
women,
It
all
is
around
the
world
leader
who have
of
been out there
equine
and who have
preventative
done it.
maintenance and rehab
And so
device.
we're seeing the
It provides
repercussions
healthy
of
maintenance and rehab of
what
your equine athletes,
I went
of
to
yourself,
89
you name it,
rodeos.
it does it. I
Like,
use it on a
yeah,
daily
it
basis.
really kills
I have
you.
seen the
That's a
results,
lot
y'all.
of rodeos,
I had a shoulder
And
injury
it
that
was
I
a
battled
choice.
through.
Here's my
Laser
deal. Where I
therapy
made
brought
a
me through it.
choice to go
I've had
to those
several
rodeos. Nobody
injuries
held a
with
gun
my
to my head,
horses.
told me I had
Laser
cancer
therapy has
or
brought them
anything
through
like
it.
that. Was my
I
choice.
am a firm
But
believer
to
in this
physically,
product
mentally,
and in
emotionally,
laser therapy.
financially do that and
Y'all go check it out for yourselves.
be at that level. If I didn't have this podcast,
you can use my
if I didn't
code
have
Jordan
my
Joe to
marketing
save
job,
10%. My three
and
favorite
be able to rodeo,
devices
I
are the
don't
Hawk Saver
have the
set, the
opportunity
Tendon
to do
Saver
that.
set,
And that's
as
just
well
what
as the
my
Bike app.
situation looks
Y'all go
like.
check it
Your
out. Laser
situation's
therapy has
different.
changed my life,
Everybody's
and it can change yours too.
But I do agree
Yeah,
that
now
I
let's
think
get back to
that's
some
where
breakaway
this
roping.
league comes from, and we're probably getting a little off topic. We'll kind of circle back around here, but there was a
So
one
one thing
thing about you. Then I'm
there
really
were
told this
several
story on
ladies
here
who
several
wanted 80
times,
limit rodeos,
and
and
your
you know,
dad,
it kind of
he's
got
one of
mixed
my
in the
favorites,
wish-wash and
but
stuff. I
every
think the
time I
biggest
pull
thing
into a
is
rodeo and roll
when
my
we
window
can
down,
get our
and a committee
association
man walks up,
and
I
when
just have to
everybody is
think of
kind of
Carl
heard
Guillory.
and
I
they
mean,
stand
and the
behind us
story
as
that goes
members,
behind
I
it,
think
we
that it will
probably
move
don't have time to talk
forward
about it today.
in a better
But
light.
talk about
But I think
your
right
experience
now,
as rodeo,
it's just-
and you're
it's
kind of
such
a
an internal
veteran at
struggle
this
to
point.
get
I
that
mean, you're
equality
making the
as
NFR
a voice
3 years
on
in
our
a row,
board.
and so I think
we're
you've seen
working
a lot
towards
of
it,
things
right? Like
change
so many
and
moves have been made and all these things, but
evolve,
still,
and you've kind of got
it's a
to
struggle.
pick what
And I
places
think
you
that's what we
like
talked
and the
about.
different
But-
things that
but
you
I
like
think
about
that
the
where
road. So talk a
this
little
is
bit about
come
that this
from,
year and
if
how that was
those of you
different
like
from
I
the
do
years
agree.
past.
There's no offense to be taken.
I think
because
that's a
here's the
big
deal.
help. You know,
Y'all,
the
we have
Breakaway
to start
every
talking
year
about
has
this
new
stuff.
rodeos
We
that
have
we
to be able
haven't
to
been
discuss
to
it.
yet,
You and I
but
have had
I
several
think it gives you
conversations
confidence
that we probably
when
don't
you know
agree
what
with
to
each other on all
expect
the
and you
things,
know
but we
exactly
had
where
that
you're
discussion.
going and what
Right.
the
And that's what
setup's
has to
like
happen to make
and
us
all
and
those
there's
things. You know,
always the
in
other.
the previous years, I
I'm
have
open
been
to
pretty
listening
confident
to the
with all
argument for
that,
the other
just
side because maybe there's
I'm
something I haven't
fortunate to
thought
have
about.
people that
I
have
mean,
been to those
hey,
places
if
that
there
can
is
give me an
something I
idea
haven't thought
or
about,
tell
I
me
want
things
to think
like
about
that.
it.
But
You know, I want to put
there's no
myself
substitute
in
for
that
experience, in
position
my
so that I
opinion.
can think about it. But
Well, I think that's one
I don't know.
thing.
I guess
You can't replace it. You
I
can't
agree.
tell
We
somebody or
have to
teach
start
somebody
talking
how
about
to
it
do
because
it
there
until you've
are
been out
people,
there and
quite a
you've
few
done it
people
yourself.
who
I mean, there's
don't
it never
agree
really
with
comes
what
as you would
happened.
expect
So I
it
mean,
to
I
come.
think
I
that
don't
it's
think on
hopefully the other
miles
side is
traveled,
open-minded enough too.
the food that
Hopefully,
you get to eat,
hopefully there's
any of the
you know
things,
the young
the cabs
girls
you
and the
get to
young
run,
women or the young
the
ladies,
places you
how
get to go.
whatever you
I
want
mean,
to
it's
call
just
them,
something that you have to
that
live
maybe aren't
and
in
breathe
my
it, and you
position
have
or
to love
Jackie's
every minute of
position
it.
or Joey's position or your
Definitely. I
position.
mean, you definitely just
right
have to
now,
go and,
you know,
and see it all
I mean,
for yourself, and it
hopefully,
really helps
I
when
assume
you
at
have
some
someone
point in
that's
their
been there,
lives they
done
will
that,
be.
that's with you.
At some point in their lives, they're going to be married and they're going to have
talk
kids, and you know what? They're going to still be competitive,
hate about
and they're
the
going to still
rodeo
want to
road.
rodeo, but they're probably not going to have to out
Oh,
rodeo
boy.
the 20-year-olds at that point. You know, I mean, I
You
think
know,
I just
I
want
definitely did
everybody
not
to
love
think about
in
not just their
June when my
position
AC
at
was
this
not working
point,
in my trailer.
but what their
That was a bit
position
of
might be 10 years
inconvenience,
from now or
but
15 years from now or whatever.
but
You know,
those
the other
things just happen to
thing
go
that I
wrong. So I
worry
don't love
about,
when
and I
all
know
that's
not
going
everybody is
on,
in this
and
position
I don't love when
because
there's not somewhere
most
decent
people
to
have
eat.
at least 2 good horses.
But other
how
than
is
that,
it fair to
it's pretty
expect
smooth
our
sailing as
equine
long as we have some
athletes
AC and
to
something
go
to
to
eat.
100 rodeos?
So if you're not
How is that
cool and
fair?
you get hangry,
And
Well, and that's
Breakaway,
what we were
you know,
just
Yeah.
those
we were
barrel
just talking
racers
about.
If you ask Alex what
Mhm.
I dislike
Yeah,
the
you know,
most, she will
100%.
tell
barrel
you
racers
when
won't
it's
do it at
hot.
all. I mean, mean, Emily Miller made a comment on a post earlier this year on a Horse of the Year post. Exactly. She said that she never even nominates her horses for Horse of the Year because she has 4 good horses and she doesn't run any single one of them at more than 20.
And the sport of breakaway roping,
there's a handful of those barrel horses that have gone and that have run at, maybe at 80-ish or so rodeos. That's huge. We're thankful to be there. Most of those roping is one of the biggest. There's no way in the world would they do that to their horses. Rodeos. Like, but you tell us we Breakaway, can come. I guess by golly, we're showing up no matter where it's at, when it is.
My horse is done. Whether you want us to or not.
And granted, the first year was not really a full year. You know, I mean, I don't remember.
Talk
I think
about some of the experiences that you
only
had. If you were going to give some advice to,
I think we only had 40
you know, some of the girls that are up and coming in the sport are currently there, and all the changes, the evolution that you've seen. What are some things that you would share with those girls that have helped you, or that you think we could be doing differently as professional breakaway ropers?
Then, you know, I went to 67 and 72,
advice
and now
that
I've
I
gone
would
to 80.
give to a younger
and that's been
girl,
on 97%, maybe 99%.
Just of how things have changed. You know, I think that the jackpots that we've roped at and the rodeos and everything. I know. Speaking for like Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma
this year,
is the rodeos in the summer are really nothing like those setups. I don't know. Fortunately
like
for
said,
me, I had a dad that made me score.
I'm not so
and made me see the calves out and learn how to
somebody's
score,
argument for
even
the other
though,
direction.
You know, I don't always do it very good, but I think that the jackpots and the rodeos that
listening to both
I
sides,
see
like you said,
around in my area,
there's something
really
that you might say that
aren't very similar to a lot of the rodeos and stuff. So I think that that's one thing that I would give advice on, just because I've seen, you know, I know for myself too, the first year that I rodeoed, it's 2 under, most of the calves, a lot of the calves are big, stronger, and it's just not very, very similar to the rodeos, amateur rodeos and things that are around us.
From me to you to everybody who's young and upcoming, you know, that's one thing I really like us as a whole to work on.
Don't expose
and I think that that's something that we're going to have to start doing better for ourselves, that we invest in the future of this sport too.
I agree.
Yep, and then you're out there rodeoing for the first year, and the setups are completely different. So you're not really prepared, because pretty much every other competitive situation you've been in is,
and so that was
a really fast start where you don't really have to see him out there a little bit.
Where do I ride him? You know, your husband Darnell brought Bubba out, which is your gray horse that
let's switch gears
had
a little
forever.
bit and talk
You've
about
won
the
so many world
NFR.
titles.
Everybody gets ready a little bit different.
Still, Chico, your yellow horse is your go-to.
You know, some of the
talk
things
about
we've
that
been
struggle
hearing, it goes
this
from
summer, and how you made that decision, like
picking out their ropes.
Which ones did you get on him? Which ones did you not like? How did you make that business decision when you were back in the box?
To go to the NFR this year? From preparing your horses, your gear.
What
you're wearing at the back number ceremony and all those things.
Chico,
what does that look like
what
for Cheyanne
happened?
McCartney?
I think he interfered with himself.
I actually have not picked out what I'm wearing yet or any of that stuff.
I used
the wedding kind of took a lot of my energy on that stuff, packing and whatnot. But as far as roping, you know, not a whole lot changes for me. You know, I have a routine and a program that I do every day, and I just kind of stick with what got me there and have confidence in knowing that what I do in the practice pen and every day has got me there. So I just stick with that.
He's awesome.
Let's talk a little bit. Let's dig into, and I agree 100%. I feel like that's just following up. That's why you are so consistent. That's why we see the Cheyanne that we see when we're back in the box. You are all business, 100%. It doesn't filter anywhere. You're there to do your job, and that's what you do.
Not the same horse that used to be.
Everybody uses a little bit different kind of rope. So tell me a little bit about what kind of rope you use, why you use that rope, and how you prepare that rope in all the different environments that you go to and travel throughout the year.
Extremely different styles of horses, and so I really struggled on Bubba. It started off
the humidity, and all the things.
I made a decent run at
talk a little bit about that,
but I didn't want to check.
I use a poly rope. I always have
a tiny check in the average. I made 2 really great runs on a couple of strong calves, and so I was feeling fairly confident. I went to Caldwell.
They're really easy. I mean, there's some that might be a little stiffer and some that might be a little more limber, and I just have 2 different sets.
Or maybe ran him through it to some, way too deep.
If I have to do a whole lot of work to my ropes, then it's probably not the rope for me. Those have always had a great feel for me, and that's what I use.
And not getting the right start. And it was pretty much that way all the way until Ellensburg. At Ellensburg, and this whole time I had Chico with me. I was babying him, I was doctoring him, I was, taking care of him. And he was definitely getting
there's
better.
a lot. I was really fortunate.
I took him
growing
to the
up.
vet
My
there,
dad
and
was
they ultrasounded it. And they
really
said,
good friends with
basically
Fred
gave me the all
Joe
clear
Beaver,
that there was no reason I couldn't be able to use him. And
since he's passed,
and
I've gone and roped with all those guys a little bit.
Equivalent of
those
like
are
a bruised tendon.
3 of the greats.
He had some inflammation.
So anytime I get a chance to ask them questions or pick their brain on anything, I always do that.
At Ellensburg, I made 2 pretty dang good runs on him, and I feel like just barely got the barrier on both of them.
Watch or get around somebody that was the best to do it.
And then I kind of struggled a little bit on him too. I just I think at that point
I agree completely.
Behind the eight ball, I was putting pressure on myself.
How have they transferred what they were great at and applied that to the breakaway roping? What are some things that they've been able to share with you?
Just struggled a little bit, but
I just think
finally pulled it together.
And I'm a big video watcher too. Watching old NFR tapes and things like that is something that I grew up doing. I just think their ability to
I don't know,
use their rope and reach
then by that time,
is something that
sore. I don't know.
It is on a different level.
Of a year, that's all I'll say. But
so that's one of the biggest things for me, because I think in the breakaway you have to be able to reach, especially in 2-under situations. I used him in
circuit finals.
There's 150 girls in there.
That's about it. I'll probably start riding him here,
going and winging their rope out there. So I think
kind of making sure he's like back up, run a few on him before the
horse position and things like that are a huge asset to learn.
And I think that horse is so tough. Like that's one of the things that I'm so thankful. Just a tough horse. We have a lot of videos, so that's what makes him so good. And I think roping that if you look at any of the horses that have been out there for hard to watch, however many, because you can't 2 years, so it's like 4 years is amazing that we are in 2023 on the road. It's not so much the runs as like literally. I almost don't know that you'll ever replace that genre of ropers because they thoroughly
for sure
on the trailer to the bone. So that's just amazing within itself. But I want to talk a little bit about your husband and figured out a way. One of the things about you, that we're so thankful to have videos and the capabilities wife, obviously that's what I call you, all those things. And I think those are great tools. And if you don't take advantage of them, then that's your own fault. That's Darnell. That's Aaron's husband. Why I call you Darnell?
Yeah, I think so too. And I remember being a little girl.
He actually came out there, and I guess just because I've known you since I was a young lady, you and him, you guys have just rallied
and I have a lot of all those
and always been,
and I've watched him a bunch.
You know, and you're hitting the road doing all those things, and it was kind of a little bit of a blast from the past this year when he came out.
There's so much to learn from him, and those guys were so good.
And then, like you said, he stayed with you through that Northwest. So, and I think talk about like, I mean, that's the biggest thing, and I think that I relate to this because of Raymond. You know, he's that way for me, but like any kind of calves. Or talk about what is the way they tied their horsemanship with your husband. I mean, it's just a different fact that like they can't do anything. And I guess I'm biased, like they're literally trying to give you everything they have and say the right things. If you haven't watched any of those old Capra videos, so talk a little bit about that experience that you guys had this year and finishing. There's some really good double mugging ones on there too of Raymond's. If anybody's curious, there's some funny ones on there. So
I've got a few of those.
I mean, I feel like
Cheyenne has those. You can ask her.
Really
she'll share those with you.
Out of any stuff. I mean,
but yeah, switching gears just a little bit, finishing off with the NFR. We've talked the last few years about Pro Fantasy Rodeo and how they've been very big involved in the breakaway rope and the breakaway games. It's going to be played during the finals this year. Same deal. You get to pick 5 girls. You have $350,000 salary cap.
Is telling you can do it.
It's going to pay $10,000 to win first place this year overall. Can still give you
the right pieces of advice.
So talk about
on the
adjustments that need to be made with us the last few years. And if you had to pick a team this year after your experience, would you pick a team based off like their fast times and go rounds, or would you pick a team?
And he's just that person for me.
What would your strategy this year be?
I was just looking through the lineup of girls, and I think I see maybe 4 new faces, but they're all. You can't call them a rookie. There's a rookie stamp by their name, but I think that they're all going to do really good. And it's tough for me because every single one of these girls that is really a consistent catcher has the capability to be fast. So it's so tough. Last year Katie Williams won the average, and I don't know that anyone goes in with the mindset just to catch them all or be a certain time, but I think that this is going to be the toughest finals that we've seen so far.
I agree, and I think you nailed it on the head when you said not only do they all have the capability of being the average champion, but they can all be 1-0 in no time. So it's such a versatile field, and that is one thing I love too, is that we are seeing a lot of new faces, and that's how tough this sport is. It's such a fluctuant every year of the girls that are making the finals, and it just shows you how tough the competition is out there. It's a pretty good time to be a breakaway roper.
Yeah, it really is.
When I went down the road of becoming an entrepreneur, it was really one of the scariest things that I have ever done, but something I'm so thankful for now. I have literally started from the ground up with over 10 years of experience, and that is where Fabrizio Marketing originated from. Marketing can be very confusing and overwhelming. And if you're just starting your business or you're not sure which steps to take or how to take them, let us help. We can help you get started from the ground up with establishing your business, creating a logo, creating a brand for your business, designing a website, social media management, email marketing, you name it, we can do it. Let's get focused on growing your business and let me and my team do the hard work for you. Visit our website at fabriziomarketing.com or you can email me at jordan@fabriziomarketing.com. We can't wait to work with you. Now let's get back to breakaway roping. Okay, so I have one last question for you, Cheyanne. We're putting a little spin on it this year. So if you had a future self, if you could talk to your future self, your future Cheyanne, what do you think she would say to you today?
I think mainly just because I have to remind myself this really every day. With all the hecticness with life and everything going on, just to trust the process and believe in yourself, because life gets so busy and there's so many things going on and so many variables in life. But if you do something that you love and you trust the process and believe in yourself and go for it and you're not afraid to strike out, then you're gonna end up coming out on top.
And she was a softball player too. I love the strikeout analogy there. That was great.
Yeah, I've struck out a few times.
Well, that's also why you are in the position you are, because you have to take risks to do what we do day in and day out. Every time you back up and nod your head in the box, you're taking a risk. And so I think that's great advice. Cheyanne, very excited for you for your third consecutive NFR back number. Congratulations. And I can't wait to talk to you at Vegas.
Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.